Welcome to Land Academy. This is the Cash Flow from Land show, where we show you how to buy unwanted vacant land and sell it for more on the internet. I'm Steve Butala.
I'm Jill DeWit.
We are your hosts. With over 15,000 completed transactions, we are the experts in this niche land flipping business.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com. All right, let's get this show started.
Steve Butala here for Land Academy. Welcome to our Cash Flow from Land show. In this episode, Jill and I talk about the 3 steps it takes to become a property investor: education, experience, and independent success. Jill, great show today. Mm-hmm. Let's tell it like it is, as we always do. Before we do, let's take a question from a caller.
I'm excited about this show because I got to tell you, it comes up a lot. I hear people doing it the wrong way and then just making all the mistakes. So I'm really excited to have this topic.
Me too. It's fun to put together short little lists, and this show is great for that. Giving an overview.
It is. And again, all right, here's our question. Belinda from Phoenix called in and asked, how do you define market value? I love this. I know some investors, including myself, define it as the price the property will sell for on the open market in its current condition, regardless of what condition it is. And I know investors who define it as, this is a long one. And I know investors who define it as the price it will sell for on the open market after repairs or a full renovation. So this is good because what you do is so many different types of properties. That's why I want to include this question.
Yeah.
Because, when you design, improvements, when you say repairs or renovation, it's any kind of improvement.
Right.
So I like this question.
This is a tougher question to answer than it really sounds like. Market value is an interesting reason. It depends on the property type, first of all. There's 2 or 3 ways to value property in the universe of real estate. There's the income approach, and this is the technical answer. The income approach, that's how you value, with cap rates, capitalization rates. That's how you value an apartment building or an office building that's producing income. There's the emotional approach, which, that's how you value a house that you're going to live in.
Right.
And I can't remember what the third one is.
How about comps?
Probably comparison value. Yeah. That's one of it. So it's been so many years that I just pulled that from the way back part of my brain.
Mm-hmm. How far back was that?
It's as far back as it goes.
Is it dusty back there? Is there other scary things back there?
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Oh, I don't want to go back there.
Not a pretty place to go.
Yeah, woo, sorry. Belinda, this was not a good question. I picked wrong. Just kidding.
So with land, I tend to value everything with, I tend to start with what I know I can sell it for, which is, probably close to half of what the cheapest like-kind property out there is listed for. And then I go down from there. So that's how I value it when I'm buying it. But market value is, I think, purely just what somebody's willing to pay.
That's what I think too.
That's a roundabout way to answer that. We don't, I'm glad this came out. We don't, in our organization, and I don't like our Land Academy, I really try to explain this to our Land Academy members. Please don't try to maximize value. It's so it goes against your human being intuition. We all want to sell something we want to buy it as cheap as we can, and we want to sell it for as much as possible. That takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So wouldn't you rather just double your money? If somebody has a business model where they constantly double their money, I'd love to hear about it, because I don't double and triple your money very, very quickly over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So that would set the market value for me.
Do you want something funny? What you didn't mention, which I agree with, is assessors' values. Those are always off. It's like, they could be super, super high, super, super low. Market value and assessor's values are often so different. It's just
they
have
nothing to do with one another.
I know, but people think they do.
Yeah, and there's a thing out west called full cash value, which is really the assessed value. Mm-hmm. And that freaks people out sometimes. They get a notice in the mail that their full cash value is $35.
Right. Exactly. So I wanted to bring that up because people think that that's what the value of the property is, but it says this, so that's what I want to get out of it. Oh boy.
Assessed value is a very and everywhere it's different. So sometimes it's state specific, sometimes it's county specific. But whoever's defining it, it's very, very different, incredibly different from the East and the West coasts. So there's lots of different ways. That's way beyond the scope of this, but it has nothing to do with market value at all. I'm super glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
I get that question at least once a week.
Mm-hmm. I do too. Well, I do a lot of acquisitions, here. I still take a lot of the calls, and the people will flat out say, well, it shows on here $15.75 or whatever it is. And that's what they think that they want. And I'm like, oh gosh.
I can see where the confusion would come, because that would be a little scary for anybody. Mm-hmm. I always try to bring it back to like owning a car. What if somebody's, all of a sudden said your car's worth $15 and you just paid $3,000 for it?
Which is really kind of true. It's like you drive it off the lot.
If it goes down to 15.
But you know what I mean? You lose. Come on, let's all be honest.
It's a little scary.
Come on. You buy a brand new car today for $30 and you sell it in 1 year and it's probably $20. It really makes no sense.
What's the moral of that story, Princess?
I do know. How do you like my dress today?
I do. I think you look great.
Thank you.
Is it brand new?
My dress?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's not my car.
Buy new dresses, buy used cars.
That's it.
That's
it.
Words to live by.
That is
Jill DeWitt.
by Jill.
No, you look great as always.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Cool. Good question. All right. So please share with us, Stephen, more about what you were thinking with today's topic.
Yeah. So like we said right at the beginning of the call, there's 3 steps to becoming a property investor. I just did a blog on this topic, and they're the same, in my opinion, the same 3 steps to really succeeding at just about anything. I mean, the bare bones, 35,000 foot elevation view of this whole thing. Number 1, get some education. There's a lot of different places you can get education on all kinds of topics. In fact, in my blog, I said, look, if you're going to become a welder, a medical doctor, a ballerina, it's all pretty much the same process. You got to go through an education process first. You have to get some experience, and hopefully during getting some experience, you can kind of you can choose an environment where you're going to fall down and fail a little bit. Somebody's going to be standing there to catch you. In my blog, I used the example of a medical doctor goes through an internship. And then the third one is independent success.
I have something to say about.
Yeah.
Look, are we going to talk about each one more?
Sure.
That's not it, right? We're not done.
We could end it right there. We could talk about jokes and stuff.
No, here's what I want to say. This is so valuable. The thing about education, the first one, it's so important. How long do you want to spend ramping up on your own? That's something that I hear and I see, and I know it's true, because I know the people in our world that we have helped, give a leg up and show them the ropes, based on what we learned over years and years of doing things right and doing things wrong. It's you think that you're wasting money sometimes, but you're not. You're saving money by getting educated. You can save yourself so much time and so much money, and
I've heard Jill give a different version of this talk to probably 200, 300, 400 times.
Yeah.
This is how I learned how in this business. I failed at it for a really long time. And when I was done making some pretty big mistakes, we kicked out this Land Academy product. So you can learn from me, or you can spend 15 years like me making some mistakes.
Exactly.
And, is it worth the money that we're charging? Probably.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
Here's another thing. During the education process, I think it's important to use the tools that you're actually going to use throughout your experience, and then eventually in the success portion. I don't think a medical doctor, if they're going to become a surgeon, I think they use the same tools during their education and experience process, education and experience phases of this. They probably use the same scalpel they're going to use when they're done, or the same MRI machine or whatever. So that's one of the gauges for me to pick an education source. Make sure that includes the actual tools you're going to use so you can practice with them.
Good advice.
So
they don't get plastic knives, plastic stethoscope.
I don't know.
I'm joking.
I halfway regret using that medical doctor.
How about an automotive technician? How about that? Say you're learning to work on cars. You know what? And I know this from people. I mean, you start buying your tools when you're in school, and they're not cheap, by the way. So you start building up your arsenal of tools while you're in school.
Right.
And then when you're done, you graduate, you have your tools because they all have their own tools
Right.
that you go work at, whatever Ford dealership or something. There you go. So,
yeah, I mean, education's imperative. The other thing, too, is that how many times have you ever heard this? This has happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you, too. How many times did you have a real bad teacher at some point in your education process? And it's like, oh, I hate math. Because no, you don't hate math. You hate that teacher.
Right.
Or the teacher's 99 years old and, they're just done. They're waiting to retire. So find the right teacher, I guess is what I'm saying.
You bring up something else that's kind of interesting. There's always negativity no matter what you're doing. There's going to be people that think you're crazy or think it's silly.
A girl only ever asks you, how do you like my dress? With that kind of enthusiasm, because she's feeling damn good about her dress.
Because I am very confident about my dress.
If they say something like, does my bottom look big in this dress? That's not the same question at all.
Thank you.
And you want to get out of that fast.
Thanks. See, it's kind of a St. Patrick's Day thing. So
I see.
See where I was going with this?
Here's the truth. Jill and I are about to embark on several day vacation in Utah, skiing with our boys. So she's in a darn good mood.
I'm in vacation mode. That's it. I've already mentally checked out. I'm just kind of here.
All right. So, I kind of interrupted you.
No.
Just to make light of it a little bit.
No, that's good. Okay. So we covered education. Okay.
Yeah.
So experience, experience, it's good if you have a mentor, I think, to kind of help you along and kind of just guide you a little bit. A lot of it you still got to figure out on your own. But you have the once you've done the education, now you've got the tool. You've got an idea of how it should go. So you just got to get out there and kind of do it.
You got to see it in action. And you want to really try to do it alongside somebody that knows exactly what they're doing. And hope the ideal scenario, it doesn't always happen this way, is make money while you're doing it or get paid while you're doing it, like a paid apprentice.
Right.
So, and I'd like to think we offer a pretty good version of that here. So, but yeah, all 3 points are real critical. And of course, if there's a big problem, you're not going to make it to number 3, which is independent success.
Right. I think experience is the biggest area you're going to spend time in because you're going to do things right. You're going to do some things wrong. You're going to reach out to your mentor and go, what happened there? And they're going to probably say, you paid too much.
That's the root of all problems, actually, in almost all problems with real estate. You paid too much.
Yeah. Or, what I find, honestly, with our group, it's not that so much that as they're impatient. They are not marketing it as they've been, as they know what to do. Just a little bit impatient. Take some time. You need to put it out there many different ways. You can't sell it if no one knows it's for sale, by the way. I can't drive around with my car hoping someone's just going to stop me in the parking lot and say, I want to buy your car.
Yeah.
You have to put a sign on it.
Lots of car
and
analogies.
Maybe advertise it, and have your phone number there and answer it. There's a few key things to selling something. There you go.
I would like to even say that in the beginning of your career, if you're flipping houses or whatever, and honestly, I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of not accomplishing this properly. You need to have a marketing plan. So, and this is what your marketing plan should look like. I'll give away tons of secrets right here. I will share my experience with you, not give away secrets. You have to post it in multiple places, as painful as it is. So you have to create good graphics. You have to spend the time to do that, learn how to do that, or hire somebody if it's better, if that's not your thing, and post it. Let's say, Jill, let's list it off. Post it on Craigslist, Landwatch, Land and Farm, EagleStar.net.
Your own website.
And that's extremely important.
Maybe do an eBay buy it now.
Possible eBay.
Even just for marketing, advertising reasons.
Zillow, Trulia. Now, does it sound like a lot of work? No, it's not, because you're posting the same. You write the text once, and you do a map or two and a picture or two one time, and you just run around the internet posting it all over the place, copy and paste. So no, it's not a lot of work. What you're going to do, what ends up happening, and everybody misses this, Jill, I'm glad you brought this up, is you're collecting buyers. You're collecting potential buyers that are reaching out to you, and you're putting them in a database, and you're building a list. So the next, and then and what I left out, one super important one is a direct email.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're collecting all these buyers. The 13th property that you do, you've got 10, 15, 20 buyers from each of the property that eventually
they're
got
interested.
sold.
Right.
And I'm just thinking out loud here, you might want to consider leaving that property up there for a little while, even after it's sold. Do you ever notice when you're driving down the street, a house has been for sale, but it's sold and the sign's just still out there? Because that realtor's still taking calls on that. And they're trying to get a listing around the block, and they're going to take it to all those buyers too. And it's, there's no, is it ethical? I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think you're messing with anybody's head.
Put a sold sign on it. Be honest. Sometimes you see a sold sign and the sign's still there.
And we do
under
that too.
Contract.
We say sold or under contract, but leave the property up there for a while.
That's honest.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes too, you never know. Things do, well, especially in the housing world, you need backup buyers because sometimes things fall through at the end. So it's not unethical. It's a good thing to do.
If you reach the right people, if you paid the right amount of money for the property and you reach the right people, you're going to sell it really quickly. We don't spend a lot of time on sales, Jill, because it's just so natural. You just have to follow the formula. Problems that we see where people aren't selling property it's because they're not going through those steps.
Exactly. So, and the last thing I thought for the independent success, you just got to do it. You
got to get those deals under your belt.
Do it. Don't be afraid.
For better, for worse, it could be just a big, huge mess. Like everybody's got a thing.
Right.
That's stopping them. I don't like calling the county for some reason. I'll talk to planning and zoning all day, but everybody's got
That's your thing?
I got a lot of things, but
what else? Here we're digging deep here. What else you got?
No, you know what it is? It's not so much. It's not. I
never had a dog.
It's not
here it comes.
It's not the county people at all. It's the paperwork piece of this. I've never met a guy that really enjoys paperwork.
Steven's emotional baggage. That's what we should have called this show.
Yeah. Then 6 people would listen to it instead of 12.
I love it. All right.
Oh, we're not supposed to say that anymore.
No. Okay. So, but what is it that I would love to know? I would really love to know what holds people back. There's so many people that are like, it's like, it's like I gave you all the pieces. Here's all the tools. Here's all the instructions. We've gone through it 3 times. You have a hammer in your hand. What is it that keeps them from doing it? And
it doesn't happen very often, Jill, but you're right. It happens.
It does. Well, and here's what I noticed, like some of the real estate forums that we've gone to, and we spoke at recently, and I see it in Bigger Pockets. I see people in there that do stuff for years. They're talking about it for years and doing nothing.
Really bright people too. That's actually worth doing some pretty serious research on. What is the root of analysis paralysis?
Right. What's holding
What do you
back?
think? Right off the top of your head, Hot Dress, what do you think?
Emotional baggage.
What?
Yeah, no, I think that I think there's some, if I really did, I have not thought about this off the top of my head. I would just have to say that there's some, I don't mean to pick on people, but some insecurity that's holding them back. And it's not them. It's not what they know. And then once you take that one little baby step, you go, oh, I got this. And then it's all okay.
I don't know. I would call it something like, I don't think the root of it is lack of self-confidence, because I think that's important to have. I think they touched the stove a few times on maybe something else. Oh. And they burned their hand and they said, oh man, last time I did this real estate deal, I see this in Bigger Pockets all the time. They just don't know if they're doing the right thing. They don't want to get burned because they know what that feels like. They don't want to lose money on a deal.
Then do it right.
Well, Jill, geez.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, by the way, for everyone out there, okay, so I adore you, right?
Uh-oh. Here it comes. Oh, no. Here it comes. Ready?
I helped you rocket your career into where it is.
I know
your
you
career.
did.
So I made a lot of mistakes. By the time you got involved here, stuff was worked out. I'm not saying
pretty easy for me.
No one has had a bigger impact on how positive this all is than you. I'm not taking anything away from you at all. I'm just saying people might have legitimate concerns about buying and selling assets.
Are you saying I have a big head, Steven?
No.
Okay.
I'm not saying anything bad about you. This is more for the listeners than about you and I at all.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Thank you.
Join us in another episode where Jill and I discuss your all-important success in property investment and in life. Really is kind of fun to talk about the big picture stuff, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think people get a lot out of that. And I know I get a lot of those questions. I really do. People call in and they ask and they're kind of on the fence. And, we're communicating like in Success Plant and stuff. And what's interesting is there's people that get hung up on even taking that very first step. I know I want to do this. I know I want to do this. Well, why don't you get educated on that? Why don't you?
So everybody's got a hang up. Maybe we should be a little more proactive, Jill, in getting and people being real honest up front after they join us and they're in a Success Plant and everything. List your hang-ups. Like mine's paperwork.
Well, we kind of do talk about that because at least we do with our members, and we talk about figure out what your weakness is and then sub that out or get a partner that can handle that part, like you and I.
Right. You know what I should do is I could make a checklist. I can make a list of the 19 things that it possibly could be. Like I see a lot of really new members. They're very concerned about not knowing enough about the asset to explain it to a buyer. And boy, I don't have that hang up.
Isn't that funny?
And I understand that because they're being very thorough about everything else. Mm-hmm. They want to be thorough about the actual asset. So I've always said this a million times. This is not so much about that piece of property, whether it's a house or any other type of or land or whatever. That is really secondary. It's all about the transaction that you're doing and the person that you're doing it with. That's where, Jill, you fill that blank in. You make that person feel great.
Mm-hmm. I think what people sometimes get hung up on is they don't realize it's okay to say, I don't know, and I'll find out.
Yeah.
And I have no trouble saying that.
Yeah. My take on the actual asset is, if that's a big hang up for you, then maybe you're just a natural wholesaler. And so you surround yourself with people who are real smart about, packaging things up and sending it to people like rehabbers or the end user. Yeah. If you just want to do the deal quick, get out of there, make some good money, and then get on to the next thing because you're really good at locating property, like I think that's my real strong point. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big sales, and so that's what ends up happening. We wholesale a ton of property, houses and land and the whole thing.
Exactly.
It's just faster. Mm-hmm. It's lower profit margins and faster.
Good advice.
Yep. Let's go buy some of that property.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com.
If you want to get involved or you need more information about our profitable, niche real estate operation, call 480-467-0359. You just might get Jill at the other end of the line.
landacademy.com. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.